I don't know, Gene. I don't have the answer to that one. We just f***ed this one up. It doesn't make it right. I know that, saying f*** it up, it doesn't make it right. I f***ing had enough of both of you. You let that f***ing team down. What was that? He does not smash my door. Tell him that. And now we are a bunch of
and it is Nikita Mazepin who went off.
And went off and had his own accident.
Do not be aggressive. You don't achieve anything. They're afraid of you.
Russian driver Nikita Mazepin has been sacked by the Haas team.
Okay, that is P5, buddy. Welcome back, mate.
Guys, man, I can't believe this.
It's been a real rollercoaster, hasn't it? Last year, Haas were the laughingstock of Formula 1. Fast forward 12 months, and they've already scored more points so far than they have in the last 3 seasons combined. Their downfall began in 2019 after being one of the most competitive midfield teams in the previous year. And this was just the start of a series of unfortunate events. During that 2019 campaign, Haas got off to a flying start, with Kevin Magnussen finishing in 6th place at the Australian Grand Prix. But that would end up being their best result all year, as the following race in Bahrain exposed a problem that would plague the rest of their season. Magnussen and Grosjean qualified 6th and 8th on the grid respectively. Both drivers had a poor start, with Roman sustaining damage at turn 2, which ended his race. Meanwhile, Kevin just plummeted down the order and ended up finishing 13th, only ahead of the 2 Williams and Lance Stroll. That was the first major sign that their car had a fundamental issue, which only became apparent after preseason testing. Their poor showing on a Sunday was down to an aerodynamic problem that caused the rear wing to stall in slow and medium speed corners. To provide some context on how much this affected them in race trim, during qualifying for the British Grand Prix in 2018, both Williams drivers suffered pretty nasty high-speed spins, also due to aero stalling. Now, can you imagine trying to control a car like that over a full race distance? Yeah, neither can I. It's also caused the VF19 to slide a lot more, which caused the rear tyres to overheat. After Bahrain, Magnussen and Grosjean only managed to secure 6 points finishes between them. Mind you, they also had a total of 18 Q3 appearances, so their 33% conversion rate on race day was pretty poor. Magnussen described the problem as frustrating, as he would start in positions higher up the grid, but was forced to try and simply hold position rather than attacking the guys around him. But you know how the saying goes, experience is the best teacher. Haas's struggles helped them to change their approach to preseason testing in 2020, and thus they were confident that they could make their way back up to where they were in 2018.
To our race fans, I'd like to say we're terribly disappointed that the event can't go ahead.
So yeah, the 2020 Formula 1 season was suspended due to the pandemic. Prior to this, Gene Haas stated that the future of his team would solely depend on their competitiveness at the start of the year. And with the season being delayed until July 5th due to the outbreak of the virus, circumstances were only made all the more uncertain. Their performance over the season wasn't any better than 2019. If anything, the car became a lot worse. They had this very odd problem, where the suspension would overheat and cause the car's ride height to change unpredictably. There were a couple of highs nonetheless, where great strategy decisions helped them to score points at the Eiffel and Hungarian Grand Prix. The latter was more of a gamble, as they both stopped during the formation lap for slicks on a damp but drying track, and it proved to pay off big time. At one point, Magnussen and Grosjean were running up in 2nd and 3rd respectively. The Dane ended up crossing the line in 9th, but was later demoted to 10th due to a breach of the rules regarding radio messages on the formation lap. But without question, the biggest win for them and Formula 1 that season was Grosjean escaping that horrific crash at the Bahrain Grand Prix. It left the whole world in shock, as everybody was waiting for confirmation that he was okay. How he managed to walk away from that with only minor injuries was literally a miracle, and without the halo, the outcome would have been tragic. Both he and Magnussen said farewell to the sport as the team took on 2 new rookies in Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin. And, well, that season was a write-off from the very onset, as Haas decided not to develop their car at all. The only modifications made was simply to comply with the new technical regulations, but the chassis was exactly the same. Having 2 rookies also wasn't easy, as the team didn't have an experienced driver to use as a reference for performance. However, all things considered, Schumacher's rookie season wasn't all that bad. He came very close to scoring points at the Hungarian Grand Prix due to all the chaos at the starts, but fell just short, finishing a season best 12th place. On the other side of the garage though was Nikita Mazepin, who had one of the worst seasons in history. Quite frankly, I don't think there's a single person who believed he truly deserved his spots in Formula 1. And if you did, then you're just a lost cause. Not only was he an incompetent driver on the track, but his behaviour off it was far worse. Before even starting his rookie season, there were endless controversies of Mazepin doing abhorrent things. Punching Kalamilots, inappropriately touching women, defending his racist fans, and that really weird Instagram post about Rona. And that's not even everything. I honestly have no idea how he was still able to compete. Oh wait, yeah I do. But his feelings of entitlement didn't stop there. Drive to Survive revealed a lot about how difficult Mazepin was to manage, as shown by this clip.
When you speak on the radio, do not be aggressive, you don't achieve anything. They're afraid of you.
Because if I'm a pussy...
No, you're not a pussy. I'm not saying you need to be loved. I'm just saying to be very neutral, you know. You need to keep on trying. Nikita, we are getting you closer to Mick.
The most beneficial way that we can do it is by trying to make a different car for me.
Yeah, Mazepin made Haas's already difficult season a complete nightmare. But without his father's money, they wouldn't be here today. Haas were tied down by financial struggles at the time and had no alternative but to sign him. He was also the instigator for a majority of the clashes that boiled over between him and his teammates. And I mean, it's not like it made a massive difference in the grand scheme of things, given they were never going to be fighting for points on merit anyway. Nevertheless, it created a toxic environment that would have hurt their chances of success with a competitive car. But at the start of 2022, Mazepin was no longer a problem as his contract was terminated. His replacement, the one and only Kevin Magnussen. And just like that, all of Haas's driver problems were solved. An experienced driver like Kevin was the perfect choice. His ability to push the team forward and help an up-and-coming Mick Schumacher realize his potential is what drew Haas back to him. From pointless in 2021 to scoring 10 at the season opener in Bahrain, Haas have made a huge competitive jump in a very short period of time. It's refreshing to see them finally be able to compete for points again on merits. Magnussen's return to Formula 1 couldn't have gone any better. Well, maybe apart from his neck being stiff, but that was to be expected. Another great performance came in Imola, where he secured Haas's highest qualifying position ever in P4. But I definitely feel he's missed out on a number of opportunities to score even more points. For example, in Spain and Canada, he was way too aggressive when racing Hamilton wheel to wheel, and both times it ended up ruining his race. Had he stayed out of trouble, he likely would have been fighting for potential P7s. As for Mick Schumacher, he had a very difficult start to the season, and understandably, he received a lot of criticism for it. Rumours were going around that Haas should look for another driver to replace him, but in the last two races, he's well and truly silenced those doubters. He scored his first set of points in Silverstone, finishing P8, and then made it back-to-back points finishes with a super impressive 6th place in Austria. Now he's starting to build some confidence and momentum. Hopefully, he can only keep rising higher and higher. I believe there's a lot more to come from Haas, and I don't think I'm alone in thinking that. They've shown how fast their car can be on its day, and have delivered on their potential on some occasions. The key to them maximizing their potential, however, lies in all the little intricate details that go into a race weekend. For example, the team went in the wrong direction with setup in Australia, and as a result, Magnussen and Schumacher qualified down in P16 and P15, respectively. In Imola, Magnussen also lost positions in the sprint because he started the race on mediums, in comparison to everyone else around him on softs. The pace delta between the two tyres caused him to drop from P4 to P8. The risk-reward factor on lap 1 will also affect their ability to finish 6th in the Constructors, as Gunther is predicting. But thus far, they've been pretty solid, and are starting to find some consistency. As of now, they are the only team not to bring any upgrades to their car, but a big one is expected for the Hungarian Grand Prix, so it'll be interesting to see what the next chapter of their revival holds in store. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts about Haas thus far, and whether you think there's more to come from them in the comment section below. Please give the video a like if you enjoyed, share it around with your friends, and subscribe to the channel with bell notifications to keep up to date with my latest videos in the future. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.